And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Holy Crap, the Vlogcast. Vlogcast that comes from a skeptical point of view to answer some of the questions of why. This Vlogcast thread is a combination of spite and the Streisand effect. Basically because we've got stuff that we want to talk about, and in some ways, you could do it too. If you had a craptastic phone and a cam and dedicated software that's free, which means everything is pretty much exactly as much as we can afford. And part of this is to follow through with the old adage that sometimes the journey is more important than the destination. I'm your main host. I'm known as Shujin Tribble. You can find me pretty much everywhere under that name. That's Shujin. Good to be back with you. Yeah, I know. Last week we took a week off because my son had a performance at college, and well, considering that the performance finished at 10 p.m. local, it's an hour drive back home, and I wanted to spend a little bit of time with him after the performance. Yeah, I wasn't going to make it in time, so off. Sorry. Tell you who we got at the moment from, well, see, now here's where it gets interesting, because normally I would have said from the Midwest of the US, but I didn't ask where you are at the moment. Brigid Fitch, good morning, good evening.
Hey, y'all.
So, where are you currently?
I'm like Waldo. You have to find me.
Okay, fair enough. 100 kiloton nuclear warhead should do the trick pretty much everywhere. That'll work out. And from the right-hand coast of the US, UnrenownedTech, good to be back with you. Hi, good evening, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, Tech and I had an interesting couple of moments earlier this week because he filled me in on some information that I'm just suddenly remembering. Oh, crap, I didn't do anything with that. Well, shit, I lost track of stuff. Sorry about that.
It happens.
Yeah, because believe it or not, I've actually been trying to find the smart card adapter that I've got somewhere. My little one wants to hack his Nintendo 3DS, but in order to do that, he's got to load a thing onto a micro SD card. But in order to do that, he needs something that'll read a micro SD card.
Dude,
Well,
there are like $5 micro SD cards.
Well, see, the thing is, his Chromebook crapped out. The battery doesn't want to play nice, so I got to fix that. And the adapter that I used to have, a little USB external, because when I first got my digital SLR camera, I was using these compact flash cards. Remember compact flash? These are great,
Yep.
man. Well, see,
Remember?
I don't know where I put it. I don't know where I put that adapter, because my computer has actually got one built into the 5.25 inch bay. You remember 5.25 inch bays, right? So I've got the thing in my computer, but I don't remember where the adapter is, or I can't find this.
Well, let me give you a quick warning. If you keep saying that you're looking for a smart card reader, you're not going to find what you're looking for. What you're actually looking for is a flash card reader.
Well, yes, I know, but
or a flash memory reader. Just because, anybody who's done any kind of contract work with the military or anything like that, they know about the common access cards and smart chips.
See, the problem that I've got right now is you see the tumbler that I've got over here, the one that's normally filled with nice flaming hot coffee. It's not. So you
That sounds like a you problem.
it is actually very much a me problem right now. So I have no orange juice. I got no beer. I got no coffee. All I got
You
is
don't have any Tang?
I don't remember if I still have any Tang in the house. I'll figure it out later. Anyway, hi everybody. Good to be back with you. So yeah, it's nice if you join us live. By the way, because you can do that. You could be over on the over on the live chat over there, and I have to remember which direction to point because my camera is still horizontally flipped from the way that I want it to be, so everything's screwed up. So down over there, hi, Stephanie. Good morning. Good to see you again. Yeah. Um, this, this whole fiasco is exactly why I'm doing that. I've been trying to digest all the stuff that Midas Touch has had, but yeah, it's been driving me nuts. Fearless. Good morning. Good to have. Well, it's good evening for you still. So, hi. And we may have somebody else listening, watching. So, assuming that you are, hi. Good to have you. It's been an interesting week to put it mildly. So, uh, for those of you for whom this whole week has just been just one shit show after another, yeah, we feel you. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to do this show. I was going to set this, I actually gave serious consideration to setting this as a non-safe for work specific episode, but I I don't think that we need to worry so much about that one. But still, just be aware there will be a lot of vitriol that will be spewed. Not that anybody's going to have a real problem with it. I mean, fans of our show at least. Few of you are, but for those of you that are, just thank you. There's a reason why I'm saying that in particular. I will maybe explain that a little bit later. I'll definitely explain to the hosts later because there's reasons for everything. How about before I jump over into the freestyle, did you guys have anything else that to fire out there before we get rolling?
I'm good.
Oh,
All right. That being the case, let's just go ahead and get rolling over here. So, with 5 minutes on the clock for you, your 5-minute freestyle starts now. Interpretation. This is a fascinating subject, a fascinating topic for me, because I have been railing against this problem for a very long time. Interpretation is, how do you describe to someone what you mean? Have you gotten it across? If you haven't properly, then somebody else has to try to piece it together themselves. That is an interpretation. Now, there are a couple places where this is really, really a bad thing to have happen. Item 1, religious texts. Now, I'm going to very specifically point out the Bible. There are a number of different variations on the Bible. English, New American, plenty of different ones that are out there. I'm not even going to bother going through the list because the list just goes on and on and on. There's some that we know all too well, King James, NIV, but why? See, therein lies the problem right there. And it's not just the Christian Bible. It's any religious text. Why should there be more than one? I'm pausing in particular because I want you to think about that. I want you to give actual serious thought about that. Now, we know full well why the King James Bible was put together. Basically, it was so that King James could, shtup whoever it was that he wanted, and, well, I mean, is what it was. But why does there have to be any more than one? If you got the translation correct the first time, you don't need more. Sure, you could have different versions for, each of the different languages that you want to translate it out to, because German is not going to be the same as English, is not going to be the same as Dutch, is not going to be the same as Esperanto. There are nuances that kind of have to go with it, but you don't need to round robin the translation. You should have a correct translation from whatever the quote-unquote source material is, and then translate it out to the individual ones. But there are so many different interpretations. There's so many different variations. There shouldn't be, but there are. And for some reason, these groups just accept that that's the case, while poo-pooing somebody else's because theirs is the other place where this is a problem is legally. We understand that legalese is written out the way that it is for a reason. The whereases and the forsooths and part of the first part or the we understand that it's written in such verbose language as to try to make it plainly clear to anyone that reads it what it means. Which is all well and good to a certain point. Problem comes in when you start dealing with stuff where the language has morphed over years, which language does. The Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, the interpretation of it 250 years later hinges almost exclusively on a comma, because it changes the interpretation. A single comma. The worst part about it is some states, when they were ratifying the amendment, had text that included the comma. Others didn't. And because of that, we're now stuck in a morass that who in the hell knows how to clean it up. If you want people to understand what it is that you want to get across to them, don't leave it up to ambiguity. Don't leave it up to interpretations. Be clear, concise, and make damn sure if you're saying something to somebody, there is no reasonable expectation that they should screw. Because if they do, and it's important, it's on you. So with that out of the way, I think it is time for the horrible scopes, because we're going to have a little bit of fun. This is going to be a lot of fun for me. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, for those of you that are ready, it is time for your horrible scopes. For those of you that know your astrological sign, cool. Those of you that don't, I don't really much care. It doesn't matter. And as an aside, this week I'm specifically drawing inspiration from the Tumblr account Joking Luna. Yes, Tumblr is still good for some things. Because if there's one thing that we know, it's that bad jokes are always in season. That season currently being spring right now, which is pissing me off because the ants are coming out to play and I live out in the boonies, so go me. I gotta inoculate my house away from them.
Are these going to be bad jokes or dad jokes?
Aries. How does one know when a Minotaur is about to charge? Because it will send you an invoice first. This week, try not to use your credit card. You're just wearing out the mag stripe. Unless you've got one of those newfangled NFC ones. As an aside, I really don't like the... Oh. Technology stamps on, man. The hell do I care?
There's actually a really simple solution if you don't like the near field communication versions. You can call your credit card companies or bank and tell them that you want one without an NFC chip in it, and they will do that. At least for now. I don't know if they're making that no longer an option or not. But
yeah, when I have to stick a Faraday cage in my back pocket, I got a problem.
Taurus, more financial humor for you. Why was the mullet audited? Because it did not declare its business up front. This week, pay for a proper haircut. Some places still offer mullet correction cuts for $15.
Somewhere, I still have a photograph of a place that I saw that was offering that.
That's hilarious.
Gemini, We realize you're having a hard time seeing how these jokes work, so this illuminating one's for you. What happens to bad rainbows? They get sent to Prism. This week, stop groaning. You could have asked for something nicer, but you didn't bother, so you get what you paid for.
So, has your question been answered yet, Brigid?
What
I'm loving
happens
this.
to, yeah, they're bad. They're dad jokes, and they're bad.
Cancer Bow Child, do you know how many birds it takes to change a light bulb? 2 can do it. This week, buy some spare light bulbs and rechargeable flashlights. With storm season coming up, you might just need them.
Do you know how many politicians it takes to change a light bulb?
Do they change anything?
Exactly, they don't change a thing. But do you know how many software coders it takes to change a light bulb?
Dude, that's hardware. We don't do that. Move on.
Exactly. Leo, why do you make sheep?
I'm so glad you
Sorry,
got this one.
I had to reread that one for a second. Why do you make sheep anxious at night? First off, no, that's not why. It's because they know how much you're always counting on them. This week, try to be a little more self-reliant, or just stop drinking coffee an hour before bed.
Virgo, when you were born, the doctor said that you might grow between 5 and 6 feet. Look at you now. Such a disappointment. You've still only got 2. This week, you're going to be up to our standards while hoping you'll be up to yours too.
Libra, do you know the Muffin Man? Do you know what he sleeps under at night? A cookie sheet. This week, buy some frozen cookie dough and try not to eat it raw for a change, unless you're adding it to ice cream. Damn it, I didn't buy. I was off at the supermarket before I got home. I didn't get any. I didn't get any ice cream. I didn't get any cookies. God damn, what the hell is wrong?
Scorpio, do you remember original Ghostbusters movie? The team had their first capture in the Sedgwick Hotel. Would that make Slimer an inspector? This week, don't be a peck. No, there's no ER at the end of peck in this case.
Sagittarius, did you know that a collection of beehives is called an apiary? Do you know what you call a beehive without any bees? An e-hive. This week, find your crystallized honey container and float it in some hot water to reconstitute it.
Yes, I'm sorry, I have a guest.
Uh,
And she thinks she's more important than my computer screen. Sorry.
Yeah, I was about to ask if you suddenly had a pull start going on over there. That was kind of novel. Brigid, the last one is kind of long, so
Okay.
I know you can see it right now, so just be aware about this one. Capricorn, what medicine is best if you have an allergy to snakes? Antihistamine. I know. This week, stock up on them since pollen season is just around the corner. Means my car is going to be turning this really ugly shade of green.
Mine's already yellow.
Aquarius. Speaking of which, hey, Aquarius, what's the best time to use a trampoline? Springtime! This week, make sure yours is in full working order and not going to split the first time you bounce on the canvas. Note to self, don't wear high heels while on the trampoline this year.
And trim your toenails.
That too.
Pisces, For the last joke, we have one submitted by Mod Pie. I once took my sister Limestone to my joke telling club. As soon as we sat down at a table, some pony stood up and loudly said, "Number 27." Every pony laughed. Some pony else stood up and called out, "Number 145." We all laughed again. Limestone was confused and asked what was happening. I explained that we'd all heard so many jokes before that we'd just keep a list of them and say the number to save time. Limestone looked at the collection on her table, picked a joke, stood up, called "Number 78." The room went silent. I looked at her as she sat down. She asked me why no pony laughed, and I had to explain, "The joke is a classic, but you need to work on your delivery." This week, stop ordering from online retailers and deliver your own groceries yourself.
I know. There's some people right now that are just having a really hard time with these, and you know what?
Some people just can't tell a joke.
You got what you paid for, folks. Maybe I should set up an account so that people can actually tip, so that maybe I'll be nicer. Actually, I should set up an account so that people can tip anyway, and I'll just continue being the curmudgeon that I am anyway. Those are horrible scopes for this week. If you like what you got, there's this therapy for people, so you might want to investigate that. Or, you can always ask for something nicer or worse. It's, that's how it works. I'll have these posted at the end of the week. Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, Discord as usual. And yeah, you want to look over on Tumblr for Joking Luna. Feel free. There are plenty of jokes over there. And my word, the knock-knock jokes are some of the best. I say that knowing full well that most knock-knock jokes can be short-circuited with knock-knock, come in. Okay, whatever. Is what it is. So it is episode 447 of the docket, Your Honor. Domination round failure. I'm pissed. I'm really, really goddamned pissed off. And I know that there are going to be a lot of people that are not going to necessarily agree with me on this one. That's a good portion of this is going to be perspective on a lot of our parts because we are not legal experts by any stretch of the imagination. But like any good group, we've got our opinions on this. What happened this week is Dominion Voting Systems agreed to a settlement with their defamation case against Fox News. $750 million and a tepid, at best, acknowledgement that things were said that maybe shouldn't have been said, that weren't completely and properly vetted. As far as I'm concerned, this was less than adequate, to put it mildly. So we're going to have a little bit of, I was otherwise going to say fun talking about this, but there's nothing fun about all this to me. So let's just rock and roll with this as we've got it. Tech and I started talking about this a little bit before we got started. Because of that, Brigid, I'm kicking over your way. Is there anything you want to kick off with on this one in any way, shape, or form? Because I can well imagine that you've got opinion on this one also.
Well, I'm hoping that Smartmatic does what they could not. And for more money, too.
There are a lot of people who have said that Smartmatic is not going to hold out for anything less than what Dominion got. And
well, Dominion was originally asking for 1.6 billion, so they were asking for double of what, essentially a little over double of what they got. And Smartmatic is supposedly asking for more than Dominion was asking for.
Yep.
Like 2.1 billion or something like that.
Yep. Now there are a number of people who have gone out there and said, how can you ask for damages for a $10 million company over the price, the valuation of the company. Because if it's been completely devalued, that's the price of the company. Which, as far as I'm concerned at this point, comes out to, if they hadn't been, if the well hadn't been poisoned, what could their long-term valuation have been? Could it have ended up being $1.5 billion in value? We don't know. And now that they've gone ahead, Fox News has gone ahead and poisoned the well and salted the earth, how likely is it to be able to find that out? The word is impossible. So it's fair for me to say that I'm really, really, really disappointed for a lot of number of ways. So before I go ahead and start tear-assing on a tirade again, Tech, you, like I said, before we got started, we were talking a little bit. Go ahead and say your piece, because I know how I'm going to get, and I'm going to try really hard not to.
So I understand the desire for Fox to have to be forced in front of a camera and all the news anchors that supported it and have to say to their viewership, we lied to you. I really wanted to see that more than a lot of people I know in my area. However, I also know what kind of hit Fox News took. They have taken a hit to their credibility, just not with the crowd that I was hoping it would take the hit with. But let's also acknowledge for the moment that there are people in that crowd that, when they're presented with empirical evidence that cannot be disproven to be factually, it can't be proven to be factually incorrect. It is honest truth, fact. There's just no getting around it. They would still deny it because that's where they live. That's their mental health. That's and so on. The good that's come out of it is that $787 million, that $750 million, is coming out of any of Fox's revenue that they've made. It's only going to come from over here. It's going to be, we're going to go back to court to revisit the amount and all that. They've negotiated outside of court. Fox has to pay that out. That's going to hit them in their coffers really, really hard. This is not a $10 million lawsuit.
True.
Okay. Yeah. This is, this
ain't small potatoes.
This took a chunk out of somebody's flesh at Fox. And they're going to be facing repercussions of this loss of revenue for many years to come. In fact, they may end up having a lot of their news anchors and reporters walk on eggshells for a little bit just to avoid any future kind of event like this, because we've talked about Smartmatic is asking for even more. If they've got the kind of evidence that Dominion has, and they wind up with the kind of jury selection that Dominion had waiting for them, Smartmatic may damn well be the ones to make Fox News stand up and go, we lied to our viewers. We have no journalistic integrity.
Yeah.
And that so there's still a chance to see that. But right now we definitely have a punishment of Fox News. Was it what we all wanted to see? No. But does it hurt them? Yeah. This is a real, legitimate, painful repercussion to them. We may actually see in the next few years some journalists, quote unquote, stepping down for future endeavors elsewhere. when
we
they're
know
actually being fired.
Yeah, well, we know for well
Yeah.
there are a couple of them that have already done that. As an
You're
aside,
right,
by
and
the
we
way,
may see more of it.
yeah, as an aside, Stephanie had pointed out over here, when a pack of wolves take down a large animal, the first bite is to the leg to cripple the beast and makes it easier to bring it down. First off, boo! Going ahead and using the furry fandom again. That boo!
Yeah.
That's a very good point, though. Joking aside, it's a very, very good point. And here's where I'm going to have a little bit of fun on this one. Brigid, I'm
But
kicking.
there's, if I may, there's one more thing I want to say about the settlement.
All right.
Fox News, money aside, Fox News didn't get escaped by completely clean either. They still had to make a statement, and they did. They issued a statement that the findings about quote unquote certain claims about Dominion were false. So they acknowledged that they reported false facts. They didn't report it in a way that you and I would love to see them do it. And let me be really, really frank here, even though my name is Tech. I don't care if it's MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, and whatever. If they do something this outrageous and this egregious, they need to be held accountable. Journalistic integrity needs to come back. We really need it back. And there are some news agencies that you can trust more than others, as long as you remember to go out and, check on the facts, ignore the opinion posts, and let your emotions die down before you start responding to it. And then there's other ones where you couldn't trust them as far as you could throw them.
Now, Brigid.
Now I've said my piece.
Okay. Now, here's what I wanna kind of ping off of you. One of the things that ended up coming out of the up to the last minutes discovery and back and forth grand jury, the whole setup, was that the judge found, as a matter of, now I forget what the expression was. I think it was as a matter of fact or as a matter of law. I forget what the terminology was for it. That Fox had knowingly broadcast out and out fabricated lies. And that was something that was going to end up as part of the statements going into the trial for the jury to know. Now, what I want to pass this one past you is twofold. One, does that sound prejudicial to the jury pool? And two, even if it is, the fact that it is a known, acknowledged, uncontrovertible fact mean that it's something that they should know at the outset anyway.
Yeah, I think they should know it. I think they need to have all the information, to render a verdict, of course.
But like I said, the idea that a judge was going to lay that out there, that was one of the things when I heard about that. I was both very, very happy to hear that, but also I really had to take a step back and go, well, isn't that kind of what's the expression for tainting the jury?
Wait, you talking jury nullification?
No. I'm trying to figure out the right way of describing it.
Jury tampering?
I'm not sure what the right expression for it would be, but the idea that the entire jury pool would have been told from the outset what they did was lie. This is something that is simply a matter of fact. This is not something that is going to be debated uh, on the witness stand. This is simply an incontrovertible fact, a finding of fact. So
I'd have no problem with it.
yeah, Stephanie, you're you're leading the bit on me over here. Stephanie is going ahead and pointing out, I want to see Fox banned from military establishments. That would be a good start. That was
Oh
another
God,
piece.
yes, please.
That was going to be another
Yes,
piece
please.
I was going to get the both of you on because it was a finding of fact in a court of law, even without the gavel hitting to render a verdict. That having been found to be a matter of discovered fact. Like I said, I don't know what the right expression is anymore. The fact that this came out and was rendered by the judge, I don't know the inner workings of the military in any way, shape, or form. I don't even know how um, Gravy Team 6 operates, okay? Fortunately. But wouldn't that finding say to me that an organization like that should not be on any military displays? Pardon me, never mind military displays, but should not be on any governmentally operated displays, period, full stop.
I really don't think it should be. Uh, the problem is that when you look at the police force, when you look at the military, when you look at certain sectors, what do they watch? Fox News. What are they predominantly made out of? Republicans. And there's just no getting around that until they themselves decide to change. So I know for a fact that in one office, the team that sits near a TV is filled with a whole bunch of dyed-in-the-wool Fox News fans. And when they're not in, I sneak on over and I change it to the Weather Channel. And until they come back in, it ends up staying on the Weather Channel. It's got quiet music, it has the weather reports, and so on.
Yet if the shit hits the fan, you'll know about it.
Exactly, because it does. If there's a national emergency, the Weather Channel does report on those things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, um, and what's nice is they don't fill the gap in news with a bunch of hate and vitriol or repeating themselves every 5 seconds. Hey, there was gun violence. Hey, there was gun violence. Hey, there was gun. It's like, yes, we know there was gun violence. Is there more gun violence? No, we're just reporting on the same gun violence that happened 12 hours ago. That happened 12 hours ago. Is it over with? Oh yeah, it was over an hour after it started. Okay, great. How about you chill your tits, okay? Chill your tits. Go sit down in the corner. If you can't sit still, go outside and run a couple laps. Then come back in and tell us about somebody rescuing a puppy from a river. Okay? Have some good news for us for a frickin' change. Right? How about you start off the news like maybe the family's watching the news. So start off with some of the good stuff. And when it comes to the more violent things, give the family a heads up and then go to a commercial. That way they can send the kids to bed, and then come back and report on the not so happy serious stuff. That way the kids can have a good night's sleep. Let the parents worry about the things parents are supposed to worry about. Let the kids be kids. Oh no, we can't have that. In fact, on the apps on your kids' phones, we'll make sure that they know there was gun violence, even if it wasn't in their state. It was like, we just talked about this. Chill your tits.
I could be wrong, but I thought the expression was calm your tits, but you know what? It's fine.
At this point, calm isn't an option for them. They have to lower the actual energy in the molecules by freezing to get them to relax.
You know what? That's perfectly
Because I don't know. Part of me says that the news that we see now this year is worse than what we were getting hit with in 2020 because it's hitting different. Okay, this is not there's a pandemic and we're all waiting to see what happens, so we're all on the edge of our seat. No, no, no. Pandemic is actually still ongoing. It never stopped. People are just choosing to ignore it at this point. And so that'll be interesting to see how that works out. But what we are seeing is, look, I understand gun violence gets headlines, but I'd really like to see a report about somebody rescuing a puppy or a kitty cat from drowning in a river or being stuck up in a tree. I'd like to hear about the kid who, did an awesome report on the state of their neighborhood and how it improved the neighborhood, and the friends and families and neighbors took charge and went out there and made those positive changes. I'd really like to see the feel good peace stories, and there's still a few stations that kind of sort of do some of those things. I know MSNBC, certain news anchors likes to have something good to report on towards the end, just kind of temper things out a little bit, but that's like one thing. It's like, no, how about half the show's all the good stuff?
There was a
And that
streaming
way,
there was a streaming service some years back that was trying to do exactly that, and just have just feel goods, and unfortunately, it just didn't get enough traction.
yeah, but I mean, you can't have infinite viewers. You can't have infinite growth in revenue. You can't have infinite anything. Not even the universe is infinite as we understand it to be. Okay. So, how about instead of trying to fill your coffers with shit, report on the news when it happens, give us the updates when there's updates, and then how about some nice stuff, some fun stuff, talk about the activities in the various areas, and maybe do headlines for each state of something positive going on in each of those areas. Even if it's not, even if you're a news broadcaster, even if it's not your own state,
Fair.
I mean, there's a weatherman down here on the news in the tri-state area, and he's from upstate New York. So when he got on the air and he started doing the weather, he included Endicott and all those areas on the map. The blank space that all the other news places have in the New York area. His is not blank.
All right.
Yeah, and in the first couple of years, he even used to talk a little bit about what went up on in the area, little events and things like that. I'd like to see more of that.
That's why local reporting is still really an important piece.
Yeah.
So,
But
move on.
sadly, we've got this shit. We've got Fox News lying. We've got all the gun violence, all the politicians that are literally trying to take away people's rights, kidnap children. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm derailing. It's nasty.
And Stephanie's pointing out something. What you wrote is a little different from what I was about to mention, but Stephanie's point: good news channels never pull in the audience. People are trained to seek out violence and despair. Hence the expression, if it bleeds, it leads.
I know.
Which is a pain in the ass. So, getting back over to you, Brigid, because, I keep trying to make sure that you've got, proper airtime, because, I mean, Lord knows.
It would be really super easy to get Fox off of military installations. Just have base commander say, no more Fox. Poof, it'd be gone.
Ooh.
They can do that. They have the authority to do that. And if people go, but the First Amendment, it doesn't apply when you're in the military. You give up some of your rights. So a base commander could make that decision. And I think they should.
Yep, and they can literally cut the channel from all their feeds on all their installations. All government funding facilities, government-funded facilities.
And I think they could make an argument that it hurts unit cohesion.
Well, no, wait a minute.
To have it on.
this is okay. Well, now wait a second. This is interesting to me now, because if individual base commanders could do that for their individual bases, is there a step up from that where it could be made a blanket to all bases?
Yeah. It could become DoD policy. That's possible.
So okay, because this is going to lead into a question, an actual legit question I was going to have. So actually, let me pose it out now. One of the things that was going to end up happening in this lawsuit, if it had gone forward, was that the producers, the people who were behind the scenes in setting everything up, the reporting, gathering of information, the dissemination of information, and the hosts, the actual faces in front of the teleprompter, spewing this out to everybody, whether they're drunk or not. I don't know. I've never watched, so I mean, somebody could be drunk. I don't know. I've heard that. But if it had come out that there was a legally binding guilty verdict, and as part of that, the testimony that said that there was, I'm gonna use a very large triggering blanket term. Forgive me for a second. Conspiracy to disseminate incorrect information. Could that at that point be given to the overall base command, like for overall DoD, to basically say these guys have been proven to be factually inaccurate, it's come out, it is legal, this group is no longer worthy of the integrity of our forces, it's gone in perpetuity. I mean, I can dream for that last part, but I mean, could an argument be very easily made at that point if it had happened?
I mean, I would say that the point could still be argued even now. Just that it destroys unit cohesion because it, fosters all these conspiracy theories and, animosity, divisiveness.
I mean, not to mention, think about how many protests occurred that the government had to, whether it was local, county, state, or otherwise any branch of the government that had to intervene with the protests. They literally could be it literally could be stated that Fox News advocated through false information civil unrest, and just escalate it from there to the various legal titles that they give to the various kinds of sabotaging the government, sabotaging a country, so on and so on. I mean, Fox News, it's not over yet.
Oh no, you're absolutely right on that part. My biggest problem about this whole damn thing is, and as I put in the description, they could have gone one day. They could have gone one day into the trial and then said, "Sure, okay, yeah, we'll take the settlement." They could have, and they could have chopped the head off of these guys and just allowed everybody else to steamroller over the whole damn thing because of findings of fact. But
that's the thing. Fox News didn't even need it to go one day, because as soon as they saw what their jury was comprised of, they were scared shitless.
Well, never mind the jury itself. Who was going to be who was going to be put onto the witness stand and what information had come out in discovery. Plus, let's not forget, and Brigid, I'm pretty sure that you saw about this too. Fox News' legal counsel was bitch slapped by the judge because they didn't turn over all the relevant information during discovery, and the judge basically said, "You're trying to bullshit me. This isn't gonna work. That's your second. Don't fuck with me." I might be cleaning it up just a little bit. You heard about that too, didn't you?
I did not,
Oh yeah.
but that's pretty cool.
They did not. There was information that they did not turn over, and then Dominion found out about it, and they're just like, yeah, we were supposed to get this information, and they never turned it over, and they're turning it over. Why now? Because they're, oh well, we didn't think it was relevant then, and the judge is just basically just, you pull something like this again, I will sanction your. I just,
Well, they might be a little more careful in the future, though, because how many more $787 million hits can they take?
There's an interesting question here because this actually starts to roll into another question that I was going to have, another part of this. One of the things that I found out about is that the monetary input that Fox News gets isn't necessarily all from advertising dollars, but the vast majority of the money that they get, the revenue that they get, is from sales of the product to cable services, which means the people who are paying for cable television service are paying for Fox News in with everything else, and they are, according to some people, highly overvalued on the cable bill. So the question I was going to pose out here for you, for both of you, is, again, reminding you from before, as a finding of fact, they broadcast intentionally misleading and false information to the public. Is it plausible, to the way that you guys think about it, that the various cable systems will refuse to carry, or refuse to carry at the soon to be pushed up value that they had been paying before for such a product? Because I can't wait to hear the first group that's going to go ahead. I'm waiting for like Dish Network to go ahead and say, yeah, we're not going to carry that anymore because we can't trust you.
I don't think that's going to happen. What we might see, at least in the beginning, is we might see a few advertisers refuse to advertise on Fox News or on any kind of Fox channel. Then again, they might not stop airing on Fox channel, but they might stop airing when Fox News is on the air. Because don't forget, the Fox channel has given us. They do more than just news. They did the whole Cosmos, the second generation of Cosmos. They've done things that are counter to the kind of mentality that Fox News creates. Okay.
Okay, that's that
right.
Hold, just 1 second. Yeah, this is something that I should have reminded myself to mention. Fox News, that domain of product, is a different animal from Fox Sports or the Fox local network television, although just like with Sinclair, there's so much stuff that's kind of crammed into it all. It's annoying. There are different portions of it all. And yeah, we are specifically dealing with the cancer that is Fox News by description. So yeah, sorry,
Right.
go ahead.
So my what I would think would happen based on limited knowledge and experience and everything, because they don't actually work in that industry, is that I think investors will start to pull out of Fox News. Not necessarily Fox itself. Some might. Um, but I think that's the first thing that we'll see in addition to some of the news anchors we've already seen leaving. I don't think any one streaming service or anything like that is going to kick Fox News off their system, because they know that they would lose a ton of revenue by losing all the followers of Fox News. It's kind of like we will never see. We in our lifetime will not see the GOP cease to cater to the religious right, because that is their primary source of income.
Okay.
That is where they get the most money from in terms of lobbyists and everything else, and their kickbacks and so on and so on. It comes from the religious right, the gun nuts and all that. They're not going to cut them off, because that would cut their own noses off. You're talking about a service having integrity. Service is not there to have integrity. They're there to make money. What a person does or does not watch is up to that person.
But
it's kind of like if I owned a bookstore and carried a copy of the Anarchist Cookbook, am I responsible for somebody buying that book and then going out and making a homemade bomb? Because
hold it, because I do have an answer to this.
Go ahead.
Is the book clearly labeled The Anarchist's Cookbook on the shelf?
I would definitely clearly label it.
Okay, so here's the question. Fox News, again, that piece, Fox News, has been found as a matter of legal fact, found to have been liars, even though their product has been touted with advertising as a news organization.
Right.
Can the cable subscribers have a class action suit against their cable companies carrying a product that is factually mislabeled and sold to them?
Possibly. Like I said, this stuff opens up a lot of legal repercussions. It just be for example, let's say I carry the Anarchist Cookbook, but maybe it's a modified version of it. So now somebody goes out and they try to create a bomb from the instructions, but the instructions have been modified, so any bombs made with it become inert, right? And so instead of blowing up a building, they just get caught by the police trying to plant a bomb that never was going to work in the first place. Am I still and that person comes back and tries to sue me? Do they have a case? Because I didn't label the fact that the book's the modified version?
Now, I'm not a lawyer, so for me, the way that I've understood it is law responsibility follows the arrow, I think is the expression.
See, what I would
let me
go ahead.
Let me answer it.
Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
If you as a bookstore owner sold a book that said it was the Anarchist Cookbook, it was sold that way, it's labeled that way, and it turned out that a bomb recipe turned out to be inert, could that person sue you for the erroneous book? I would say No, because if every indication of the book was that it was the real product, it's not your responsibility to inspect every product. You are assuming that whomever it was that has brought it into you to be sold is the one who is responsible for the content of it.
And now we've gotten to where I want to go with this. Now we have to change the scenario to match something similar to what Fox did. Now I'm the bookstore owner who has the Iron Cook's Cookbook, but I have the modified version, but I haven't declared it to be the modified version. The book cover doesn't say it's the modified version. And more importantly, I am actively telling the public that it's the original version, and yet I happen to know for a fact that it's not. Now I can be held accountable. And that's what happened.
So,
However, I do feel that there is a chance, a probability, a greater than zero probability, that there were some people at Fox who was given the information that they were supposed to air and were never made known that the facts that they were given to spout on the air were lies. Why? Because there's always something like that in some scenario where somebody is caught in the collateral damage. And I just hope that the people caught in the collateral damage aren't getting hit as hard as the people who created the damage in the first place.
I do believe that there is the possibility for exactly that. But the public faces, the quote unquote anchors,
The chatting heads, yeah.
The talking heads, from the information from Discovery, they do.
Yeah.
They absolutely blatantly do.
And the worst part is Discovery showed that some of the people knew, and we're like, oh, well, we're just going to do whatever we want.
Yeah. So
I don't think this again circles back to the couriers of the channel. I don't think Dish Network TV is going to cut Fox News. I think more than anything, when everything calms down, what might happen is go on behind the scenes. You might have Dish Network and so on reach out to Fox News and go, hey guys, we can't do this shit anymore. If you guys are going to keep doing this stuff, we're going to start, we've got a contract. Our contract specifically states XYZ. There's, penalties based on, assuming that there's penalties. It really boils down to what you and I don't have access to. What does the contract between Dish Network TV and Fox News say? Is it an explicit contract between them and Fox News? Is it an encompassing contract with Fox and Fox News happens to be part of the package deal? So on and so on and so on. So those contracts, which are probably older than dirt, might actually have something in there about journalistic integrity for the news stations. And if they do, excuse the phrase, but heaven help Fox News.
I was just pulling up some information to see what are the other peddling groups. One America News, OAN. We haven't heard about them in a hot minute, and there's good reason for that. I was pulling up some info, and thank you, Ars Technica. Back from when was this? From January. DirecTV announced the decision to drop OAN January 22 amid pressure from advocacy groups. And according to this piece over here, let's see, DirecTV no longer carries it. They are also no longer distributed by Verizon Fios, but DirecTV was the most damaging to OAN financially. I believe there is an Italian expression which translates like this. So there's some people that are going to have to see what that is, but trust me, it's not complimentary in Italian. Just gonna go with that. So yeah, it is entirely possible that there will be, you were saying earlier that, these distribution groups for content, they don't necessarily, have to have any kind of a moral compass on this whole thing, but Verizon Fios, DirecTV, they, okay, admittedly, it's OAN, which is a hell of a lot easier to just look at it and go, nah, man, you guys are batshit, go away. So,
The problem is there's too many questions right now. We still have to wait to see what the fallout is. Fox News is not getting away from this clean. But what could potentially be even more damaging is yet to come. And they've opened the floodgates with this settlement. They've opened the floodgates for the various states here in the US to go after them. They've opened the floodgates for the federal government to go after them.
And let's also remember, all the information from Discovery now out there for everyone to know about and to legitimately use, which means Smartmatic. Waiting for that one.
Yeah, it is. This is potentially very, very damning. It's not necessarily damning. It is potentially damning.
I disagree.
We have to wait and see.
No, I disagree. It is damning because it has shown that they are out and out liars. No other word for it. Out and out
you and
liars.
Me,
hold on.
Yes.
The judge came out and said, as a factual, a factual finding, that's what they are. Now, how damaging that will be long term is still an open-ended question. But as far as to being damning, they have been called out on the rug for exactly what they've done. So,
but the people who need to hear it haven't heard it, though.
Yeah, I've misspoken by using damning instead of damaging.
Right. Now, what Brigid has said is a piece that has pissed me off, and I know full well pissed off a lot of other people. The people that need to hear the admission of wrongdoing, A, haven't heard it, B, won't believe it, and C, the admission was so tepid in and of itself, it borders on mockery. As far as I'm concerned, it's just bullshit. They got away with the most milquetoast of, well, we said some things that weren't completely factually found out, so our bad. Going on. I mean, it's the whole Loki. Yes, so sad. Anyway, and like you said, Brigid, the people who need to hear this. Sorry, hit the microphone. The people who need to hear this, are they even going to believe it, even if it was a blatant mea culpa in the most blatant of terms?
Only if the Fox people were compelled to admit it several times a day for days and days.
God, wouldn't it be nice if they were compelled to have to do it every hour on the hour with their station? Well, no, they don't have to do station IDs the same way as broadcast has to. God, I'm such a product of the old AM, FM, VHF, UHF days. God damn. But yeah, it would be nice if they were compelled to have to put it out there enough to cover like 85% of their target audience. and their talking heads aren't going to be the ones to.
No, actually, I think the talking heads, as well as higher up management, all the way up to the CEO, should be forced to make the statements if they go to trial and lose. I think every single one who's been on the air who has said something um, false about the Dominion system, Smartmatic, and so on, should be forced to make a public apology on the air during primetime hours. And the people that enable it behind the scenes need to also make the same statements. And I think all the other news channels should cover it, even if they have to wheel a TV in behind the station, behind their table at their station. Which, look how old school I'm talking. Wheel a TV in. They've got wall monitors, for crying out, TVs as big as the walls that they could literally just toss it up there. But yeah, I think every single channel should cover it. I think it should be announced in advance so people can prepare for it. You know, really.
You're talking about the war room from War Games. You know that.
Essentially. But I mean, if you look at like CNN, MSNBC, and so on and so forth, they don't just put backdrops behind people anymore. They've got screens that can project whatever they want now, whether it's a solid green screen color band or if they actually want to put up images on it. They can stream live media to it. I mean, you and I will, may before we die, see homes where the whole wall is a TV.
Total Recall, 1990.
No, I'm thinking Back to the Future Part 2.
By the way,
where Marty McFly's kid comes home and he turns on like a dozen channels and the whole wall is just one giant TV full of channels.
Yeah, there's that. By the way, Seeker has got. By the way, hi Seeker, good to see you. Joined us over here. Once and if we ever get a decent government back, we need the FCC to get the fairness doctrine back with cable satellite interwebs included.
Yep.
There's a problem with this one.
There's a problem with trying to do that to the internet.
Right, because here in the United States, the Federal Communications Commission, otherwise known as the Federal Candy Company, according to us ham radio guys, because we can get away with that. The FCC regulates over-the-air broadcast.
Correct.
So the fairness doctrine, as the way things stand for regulation currently, would only be applicable to over-the-air broadcast. And don't get me wrong, I got no problem with that. I got no problem with that whatsoever. The problem becomes if you try to impose that on a streaming service, that is then a First Amendment issue. First Amendment issues in the United States have to do with government censoring speech or allowing or disallowing certain speech. I'm really highly paraphrasing that. Just bear with me for a second. Now, the reason why that's a problem is that streaming services are private enterprises. If you are using broadcast frequencies, you are then using government-regulated resource, which radio waves, that radio spectrum is a government-regulated resource. That's why ham radio folks, we have to take a test, show that we understand what it is that we're dealing with, so that we are allowed to transmit on. Which reminds me, I still have to get mine renewed. So it is possible for a television station, a radio station, an AM radio station, a shortwave radio station. Yeah, I know, they still exist, believe it or not. that they have to abide by the technical rules and the rules of operation in order to continue to be allowed on that resource. Once it's inside of a wire, though, and that's the end-to-end capture, there's nothing you can really do about it. And I know, before anybody goes ahead and says anything about it, well, what about stuff that is bounced up and bounced down from a satellite as a relay? It still needs specific... It still qualifies, if you think about it, as the end-to-end connection wire termination on either end. So it still doesn't qualify for FCC regulation in the same way, for the whole fairness doctrine allowing both opinions on a prospect to forced to be on the air. That having been said, that long piece having been said, because I know about some of this shit, man. I actually do know about some of this stuff. That having been said, I think the idea of having the fairness doctrine come back is only half of the battle. Don't say it. I know you were saying it. I know you were about to say it, Tech. Don't say it. The other half of it is we need more competent technology, especially communicators. People who can actually properly take complicated stuff and be able to properly convey it to people in a manner that is much easier to be understood, gaining as much nuance as possible in a very short amount of time, but in such a way that the vast majority of the populace listening can understand it with a relative degree of proficiency. And that's hard. That's hard. Science communicators. How many can you think about? How many can you name right off the top of your head? You guys, go ahead. Just go. I'll start you off with an easy one. David Attenborough.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Neil deGrasse Tyson. Low hanging fruit right there. Go ahead. Come on.
Kara Santa Maria.
Yep.
Tech, go ahead, say it again.
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Right. Brigid, what was the other one you had?
Kara Santa Maria.
Okay.
Beekman.
Beekman, also a good one. Even though he's like really way the frick out there right now. Michikaku.
Yep.
I mean, he's kind of gotten really kind of weird over the last couple of years, but
yeah,
pretty good.
Carl Sagan.
Carl. And let's not forget, because this is where it gets to be really cool to me, and I know there's stuff going on over in the text chat, guys. I'll get to you in a minute. The Vlog brothers, Hank and John Green. They're not... all right, they weren't professional science people. They weren't professional science communicators. But they found their niche on YouTube, especially, to be able to do that. And that's the whole crash course set.
Mythbusters.
I'm sorry?
Mythbusters.
Mythbusters. Holy balls. How the hell did I forget that?
The gentleman who is the, I forget his name, but if you go on YouTube under PBS SpaceTime, he's the face of PBS SpaceTime. I can't remember his name. He does an excellent job talking about everything from superdeterminism to the speed of light, Higgs bosons, cosmology, quantum effects, all that stuff. Things, and he has a way of not dumbing it down, but relaying it in such a way that you know he's not talking down to you. That he really wants you to understand, though. He's a younger gentleman who just I wish I could remember his name. One of my great heroes. I would love to like have his input on everything that's going on right now. Is Richard Feynman, but he's no longer with us.
God, Dr.
But yeah,
Wow.
you want to talk about a science communicator?
He was good.
Oh God.
My God, he was good.
If somebody told me, hey, look, we've got perfect AI here, and all you have to do is just get your own copies, install a personality of anybody who's ever been recorded, my first response would be Richard Feynman.
Seeker threw a name out there I didn't even consider. Holy smoke. Scott Manley.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's actually a good one.
Maybe one of these days I'll ask him on. I got the chance
Matt,
to interview him a long time ago on my Wednesday night shows. God, that was like 10 years ago. So yeah, the idea of somebody like Scott Manley, yeah.
so Matt O'Dowd is the host of PBS SpaceTime on
Okay.
YouTube. Thank you, Google.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to make sure that I've got a bunch of links in the show notes for a lot of these groups because oh my God, some of these are just. Geez, I keep forgetting that there's a scene in the original Cosmos series with Carl Sagan that my grandfather is in the background. So I haven't watched that scene in a long time. I gotta go back to that. Anybody wants to see it? It's when Carl goes back to Brooklyn, and it's at night, and he's walking along a pier, and there are people fishing behind him, and he goes and he buys a pretzel from the guy on the pier. One of the guys behind him has got the typical fisherman's hat, and I think he's wearing his red satin jacket at that point. Still got to look back at that. You can't see his face because I mean, you can't do that. But God, I miss it. I forgot. I'd forgotten about that. Um, Skeptic's Guide to the. Wait a minute. Skeptic's Guide wasn't it Skeptic's Guide to the Universe?
Mm-hmm.
Is the podcast. Okay. I don't know if there's a different one, Skeptic's Guide to the Galaxy. Walk About the Galaxy. Don't know about that one. What was one of the oh God, how the hell is it pronounced? Kurzgesagt? Kurgis, whatever the hell it is over on YouTube. Shit, there's a
Yeah, I know their channel. Actually do.
I don't remember. Kurzgesagt. Yeah, that's them. I have to get that one. What was one of the other ones? Uh, I don't want to promote somebody else's podcast. I mean, we have a hard enough time having people on our own. Whatever. Oh, and Bill, uh, uh, that Werther, uh, the entire history of the world, I guess. I mean, we've quoted that particular piece so much, and oh my God, um, yeah, history of the entire world, I guess. Bill Wurtz. I'll make sure I'm gonna make sure all these are linked because I mean, come on, there's just so much good stuff out there. But see, isn't that the problem? There's so much good that's out there, and people have to be shoved into swallowing this collection of crap in order for it to take.
Yeah, it's you know my folks' generation and before, remember when you could actually trust the news. Even if you didn't like your particular news station, you turn on another one, they still had the integrity. They still had, um, that desire to show us reality. Now it's just a cash grab. Say whatever you need to say, as long as it keeps getting more viewers and more money and more viewers and more money. It was like, you can't have infinite growth. Stop it.
Yeah. And Brigid, I think that you would agree with me. At that time, let's call it the 60s and the 70s for a second here. Back when Walter Cronkite was the face of the news, the one person on TV you knew you could trust. Your your journalistic integrity was your currency. And if you lost it, who was going to bother listening to you anyway?
Well, I mean, I agree with you. I don't know what other input you want from me.
I'm suddenly realizing as I'm hanging my own self out to dry, I'm just like, wow, shit. I put it out there. Where's the question there, Shu? Uh,
Yeah,
sorry,
there's no question. Just I'll agree with you.
sorry, but okay. So question wise, without going to the easy low hanging fruit, why don't we have that commodity anymore? That no commodity is
24
not.
hour 24-hour news cycle killed it off. That's my answer, and I'm sticking to it.
That's you know what? I think there's more to it, and I think it kind of circles around to a couple of these pieces. Fairness doctrine. Uh, Trust me, this is one of those red wire corkboard kind of moments right now. So follow me a second. Fairness doctrine covered broadcast over the air. CNN, the 24-hour news model, was not broadcast. It was cable subscription only. Fairness doctrine didn't didn't abide there. So they could
Okay.
broadcast, so to speak, whatever it was that they wanted to without any real oversight for, you know, competing viewpoints. So over the air in the United States, I want to make sure that we're clear about this because it's not the same in all places, especially over in the UK. Over the air broadcast, once you had a receiving device, was free. I'm saying it that way because at one time you could actually have a God. Remember when it was a transistor radio? God, back in the day.
Yep.
And you could pull in AM, you could pull in FM, you could pull in shortwave, and you could pull in the audio channels from UHF and VHF television stations. So, over the air was the public commodity. Anyone and everyone with a wire out the backside of their receiver could pull it in. No additional charges. The folks that were paying for cable, especially back when it was starting up, the 70s and 80s, when the big boom was starting to happen, that then was the more affluent people because they could afford it. Theoretically, also folks that were in areas where they had better education standards at the time. And like with every other get rich quick theme, CNN basically, I would say, destroyed that model and laid the groundwork for groups like Fox News on cable to just come in and make a mockery of the term news service just so that they could get the money. So the question is, cable television more the problem child than maybe CNN itself?
Well, I just think it's a problem having to fill up 24 hours worth of news, and it becomes infotainment and, clickbait rather than news.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. If you're not on 24 hours for any service anymore, you lose you lose out on because you're no longer part of the cycle and you can't get them revenue. God, you remember when it used to be that like 2 o'clock in the morning, all the stations would go off the air?
Yeah.
Part of that was a technological thing, so that the engineers could go up there and make sure everything was still working the way it was supposed to. But there's still a technological thing for a lot of that stuff. AM radio stations, they've got stuff that they do. Some have to turn down their signal strength at a certain time. Others don't because they've got clear signal status. But the idea that the FCC doesn't have any way, as it's currently written, as I've understood it, to regulate what these SOBs are doing, boy, you know, that is a morass I really don't want to trudge through because, man, how do you balance the public good against the public's rights? God, I don't want to get into a big piss on a federal level. Back to the piece at hand, though. Let's get the last 20-ish minutes on this one. I'm pissed that Dominion stopped. Pissed that Dominion didn't go through and hold their feet to the fire. I'm pissed that they settled out for half of what they could have otherwise gotten, which, yes, I know, they could have just ended up litigating it out and appealing and appealing and appealing. But somebody needs to hold them accountable. And if the Fed can, then it turns to the invisible hand of the marketplace. Do it. And in this case, I really, 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 really want these groups taken out one by one. And by that I mean every cable package that includes Fox News needs to just go away so it can just atrophy and hemorrhage money until it's J. Jonah Jameson in his basement with 2 cameras and OBS streaming out to a handful of people anymore. But that's just me. What do you guys want to bitch about it? I know it's not exactly a question mark, but I'm kind of leaving it open ended because I'm incredibly dissatisfied with what ended up happening. I wanted it to go forward, but I'm waiting to find out who is actually going ahead and gonna chop them. Tech, you said Sparkmatic is probably gonna do it. Brigid, are you pretty much the same the same feeling on it that probably
The
Sparkmatic?
potential is there, and I hope they do. I hope they are out for blood.
I would not be surprised if Fox News got the same mediator again to try to mediate between them and Smartmatic. That mediated between them and Dominion.
And I really hope Smartmatic basically tells him to go fuck dirt. Sorry, did I say that? Oh shit! Sorry.
You mean Pound Sand? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. That was an old high school thing. Drum lines. What are you gonna do? Snare drummers are nuts. I wasn't a snare drummer. Musical bass. We were also nuts, but that's a whole. You know what it's like taking a pair of marching bass drums, putting one on top of the other, and bungee cording them together with a couple of pieces of 2x4 in between to so that you can see through the middle of it all, so you don't whack somebody. Hoping against hope that you got the stretchy on the bungee cords tied enough so you don't take out the trumpet player that you're going to be marching right next to in a minute.
Can't say that I have.
It's those were dangerous. I never hit I never hit a brass player. I also never walked into a judge, but they were smart enough to get the hell out of the way. That's neither here nor there. The text going on over there. Um, Stephanie's got one. How about making it illegal to claim to be transmitting news without facts? All news channels having to back their reports with sources that can be checked. Um, I like this idea because I'm also of the opinion that the the company. All right, no, wait a minute. I don't remember if it's the company name or if it's the brand name. Fox News should be disallowed from use because the implication is that actual journalistic news is being reported on, ergo it's misleading representation, it's bait and switch. But again,
They could just put the news in quotation marks.
they that's an that's an interesting point. That would be incredibly blatant. Wow. Huh. Okay. Because now I'm thinking in terms of the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC here in the U.S. I mean, if they went after him for the whole um, misbranding, not what's the expression I'm looking for? Deceptive advertising. That's what I'm looking for. Kind of wonder if that's. I don't wonder if that's the thing. I don't know. I don't know. Seeker has also pointed out Until FCC starts doing its job, it's either the lawsuits will break them or their carriers drop them. Not holding my breath. Considering that we had, oh God, what the hell was the Reese's Pieces cup wielding son of a bitch? Whoever the hell it was head of the FCC for a while. Yeah, first off, screw him. I don't, you know what? I don't remember what his name is. I don't care. He's a douche nozzle. He shouldn't have been in the job in the first place, but there's a lot of people that I felt that way about. I don't know if I'm objectively correct, but I'm probably objectively correct on that. Anyone even remember why the FCC was even established? Seeker is asking. Yes, I do. Believe it or not, I do. It's a stupid reason, but I know exactly why and why it regulates certain things in a technical aspect the way that it does. Yes, I learned about all this stuff. No, we're not going to go and do a deep dive on how radio spectrum was regulated in the United States. We're not going to do this. But I will tell you that the ham radio guys got the shaft early in the 30s when long wave was the way of communicating, and let's just shove the ham radio folks up into the VHF spectrum. I mean, they can tinker around with that all they want, and nobody's ever going to know that they're there. Oh, they've made incredible technological strides. Oh, we need spectrum now. I'm sorry, too soon? It was the 30s. Whatever. Fox opinion would be closer. No. No, Stephanie's saying Fox opinion would be closer. I disagree because opinion would at least be mired in how you consider factual information, and as a finding of fact, nothing could be further from the truth of what they did. So I'm gonna disagree with you on that one, but I see where you're going. Appreciate that. Oh, you know what? Yeah, this is where we can finish off. TP has also got. I think the shareholders are using FTC regulations for their suits. Yes, that is a piece that we can hit. And yeah, Seekers also pointed out courts already deemed Fox as entertainment. That was the defense that they ended up using. That no reasonably thinking person would consider that what Fox News broadcast would be news. It's entertainment because it's the functional equivalent of watching the WWE wrestling. Actually, no. Wait a minute. What was ECW? Was that it? That was the other group down. I forget where they were. The second tier down. But that is a piece. We were talking earlier about, I was intentionally bringing up the idea of the cable subscribers saying they don't want to have Fox News on their bill anymore. They don't want to pay for it. They don't want it on their subscription. Get it the hell out. But what was pointed out is, and rightfully so, the stockholders at Fox News are getting together and they're suing into the company because of what they ended up doing. And I think that's the last piece that we should cover right now, because wow, the idea that the people who actually have ownership, if you will, of the company are the ones who are basically coming out and saying, you're fucking us over. You need to fix this. And maybe you need to go too anyway. I very much love that part of the news. So, what have you two got on that angle? if anything, because I love that idea in particular. Brigid, you got anything on that
No,
one? Okay.
Yeah, that's
I'm
fine.
sorry.
No, hun. Hey, you know full well, we are not journalists. We're not lawyers. You don't play them on TV. So if there's a thing where it's just like, you know what, you? I know. Fuck all about that. Okay, be bold, man. Just, I don't know anything about it. All right, cool. Moving on. Don't worry about it. So good. So good. I mean, what are you worried about? The worst thing that can happen is we have to listen to Tex Pussy coming on the microphone again. So, whatever. So good.
Hello, pussycat. Um, my problem with that is that in today's society, the shareholder saying fix it just means make us money. It doesn't mean you need to hold yourselves, accountable to the integrity of the news system. You just need to get us our money back, and you need to do it quick. That's it. That's all. That's all it means anymore with shareholders, with capitalists and shit. You know, I love it when somebody says, "Oh, I'm a capitalist." It's like, really? How much capital have you invested in something? $10. You're not a capitalist. The person over there that has just invested $10 million in Fox News, that's a capitalist. The person over there that spent, $100 million in lobbyists, or the organization that spent $100 million or $200 million on lobbyists for politicians, those are capitalists because their money actually makes changes. Okay? That when you live in a capitalist society, if your money can change something, then you're a capitalist. And I've heard various arguments on amounts and everything else, but your average person is not a capitalist. So when the shareholders start gnashing their teeth, the way Fox News is going to look at it is, it's not that we have to be more honest and have journalistic integrity. It's, we need to up our revenue to get them to shut up. That's how it will be. That's how it will be treated. Because that's where we're at here in the United States.
Always got point. Always got point. I hadn't really.
Yeah. You could have all the venture capitalists that have invested in all the shareholders in Fox News say, we're going to dump you if you don't start demonstrating journalistic integrity. And the bigwigs at Fox are only going to hear blah, 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 revenue.
Third quarter earning.
Exactly.
All right, good point. There's something to be said for that. Annoying as
I know I'm a
is.
Debbie Downer in that respect, but that's
Maybe, but
it's the pessimistic side of me that's been seeing it.
but the question is,
I would
are you
argue is
wrong?
that there's no real good news anymore. Because they're not held accountable anymore. This was the first time that we were going to see some accountability, and in a way, some of it did happen. Was it satisfying? Not for most.
Nope.
That's why, like Brigid, I'm in the same boat. I'm really hoping that Smartmatic has got everything that they need to bury Fox in their lies and does not settle for a mediation where the majority of things are kept behind closed doors. It's like, no. I really want to see them actually have to do right.
Really hoping for that. We've got a little bit more time left over here. I've had the vast majority of time tonight, which, I mean, I show my rules. Is what it is. So I've pretty much said my piece. I'm not happy, but I'm hoping that lawsuit part 2 definitely comes to. I'm very much waiting for the Acme piano to fall on the fox. I know it's supposed to be a coyote, but just go with me on humor an old man right now. It's late and I have no coffee. Screw y'all. So that's for right now. That's about it. Tech, if you've got something that's like less than 30 seconds left over,
No, I'm good.
Go for it. Cool. Brigid, you
good.
you tie. Okay, well, you know what? Short circuit the whole damn thing at this point. Perfectly fine. You know what? That being the case, then let's just wrap it and we'll be done. And I'll give real serious consideration as to whether or not I'm going to have any coffee. I don't think that's such a really good idea. I don't think I should make coffee.
Not this late, no.
Good idea. You know what? I'll make some hot water, and I'll drizzle some of that maple syrup, that Tech sent me, and I'll make some tea, something, and then go. So we'll call it a night. Thank you everybody for being with us. It's good to be back with you, and I'm gonna leave my usual closing out of the way. This is a contentious issue that is not going to go away anytime soon. None of us are really happy about it as it is right now. I am most assuredly not happy about where we end up at this point. So, are we going to end up revisiting some of this later if it comes up? Probably. Why? To gloat. And if anybody's got a problem with that, you can take it up with me then. Because I will be a smug son of a bitch that night. And anybody that thinks that I can't be, watch me. So thanks for being with me. Let's take very good care. Tech, you, again, I'll try to remember tomorrow to work on the day that you gave me, but thank you. You take care of yourself, and I will send you off without a Mrs. Slocum reference. How's that?
Okay.
You have no idea what I'm referring.
No, I'm sorry. That one went over my head.
That's Are You Being Served?
Oh shit.
The British.
I know, but I wasn't as heavily into it as you were.
That's okay. For anybody that doesn't know, on Are You Being Served, Mrs. Slocum, she always talked about her lovely pussy that she had to feed every morning before she left for work. Because every once in a while her pussy would get out and would come back after a rainstorm positively drenched. Britcom, look it up. Trust me, it's worth it. Anyway, you have a good, safe week ahead, huh?
Yeah, you too, guys.
Good. Brigid, you
Oh,
too?
and
Oh, yes?
watch your inbox.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said inbox. I meant mailbox.
That's not a good thing. It's anyway. Brigid, glad you're able to make it. I will remember to ping you more properly ahead of the show next time. Who would you like to send a nice big old screw to?
I can't think of anybody new or original, so I'm going to go back to Mike Pence. Just because.
Well,
I
that's
still hold a grudge.
no, that's I can't argue with that. Has he finally agreed to testify for like anything?
I don't think so.
That
He
being,
should be compelled.
yeah, yeah, him and Lindsey Graham. Can't wait for them to go down there to Georgia. I'm sorry. Let me do that in much better Italian. Some people are gonna some of you gonna understand that, and the rest of you won't. Over on the over on the live chat, Stephanie, are you being served as gentle humor? Are you being served as wonderful? I miss it. They did a wonderful job. They should have ended it when it just ended and not go on with a new set. Although maybe one of these days I'll find the movie. I can watch that. Be that as it may. Seeker, thanks. Glad you're able to make it. Always good to see you, man. Take care of yourself. Felis, also take care of yourself. And I know full well that Kale was watching. Don't know still is, but be that as it may. Before we get out of here, I would be remiss if I did not, if Brigid and I did not send out, although he's probably not going to hear it, a still late thank you to Gene, because I had a memory come up on Facebook that this was yesterday was the day that I drove 24 hours in total collective driving time down to ReasonCon and then back home over the course of one weekend. We left on a Friday afternoon. We arrived at 4 a.m. on Saturday and still got up in order to get there with everybody at whatever the Dark Stupid in the morning or whatever the hell it was, 8, 9 o'clock, whatever the hell it was. And we spent the weekend at ReasonCon. Even though it has not been brought back again, we still had a good time, even though there have been some things that have not continued on afterward. So,
Yeah.
from both of us, Gene, whether you hear it or not, thank you, man. You did a good job.
Shujin snores.
Bobby only has 9 and 3/4 fingers. So, yeah. Fuck you. Brigid's perfectly. It's gonna be whatever. Screw you. I don't care. If you want to be in touch with us, please take a swing over to the webpage, holycrapthevlogcast.com, and the audio version of the podcast is available over there. It gets updated when it gets updated because it's on a voluntary basis. So it is what it is. Deal with it from there. If you'd like to leave a voicemail message, you can do that at 859-HCTV 554, 859-4288-554. God, that's becoming muscle memory finally. You'd think after all these years I would actually do it right. We'll see. In any case, seriously, everybody, you take care of yourself. Please stay safe, healthy. And I think I speak on behalf of on behalf of Brigid. Keep wearing your fucking masks.
Yep. Because now we have Arcturus. Ooh. It's a recombinant of a recombinant.
Folks, if you become infected, you become a petri dish. Don't
This is
become a
true.
petri dish. So for anybody that doesn't want to believe in evolution, fuck Sorry, did I say that out loud? I'll keep saying it out
Just
loud.
a little bit.
Because people need to hear it. So let's get out of here because I'm rambling, which means I'm too tired, and I've got updates to do to the show notes. So until the next time we're together, everyone, theoretically next week, as always, I wish you all peace I no longer have. I wish you the strength that I've learned. I wish you well. My lady, too damn many years later, I am still in love. Mwah. Matane Fujin, I love you. I miss you. Dream of me. Till the next time we're together, everyone. As always, good